I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking to you about the journey that we've had in integrated marketing in the commercial business, the cloud and enterprise business at Microsoft. Before I do that, I want to rewind 20 years for a moment because I'll pick up from 20 years ago. 20 years I was here, Pete, so see, I'm giving away your information. I was here, I was in my second year of business school, and I had just accepted my job at Microsoft. And I was super excited because I had moved from being a computer science person, an IT person for years, to being a marketer and a strategic management major as well. And that was such an exciting career shift for me. And so I headed off to Microsoft. And I thought about, and we're going to try this button and see how we do. There we go. I thought about, what could I tell you I've been doing for 20 years? How can I explain this to this room? And really, I've been trying to bring strangers in crowds into focus for 20 years. I've been working to build awareness, shift their perception, drive consideration with them, get them engaged with us, get them trying and then purchasing, and then ultimately build them into fans. And I started doing this in a fairly manual way because it was 20 years ago. And advertising was big, and product launches were big, and PR, of course. But if I think about recent years, tech has done so much for marketing. And it has enabled us to approach things differently. It has also done so much for our customers. And so if we think about customers today, who's bought a car recently, or maybe a major appliance? Okay, did you go into the store or the dealer and expect them to tell you everything about the product? No, of course not. Today, customers are almost 60% down the journey before they even talk to a seller. And in a business like mine, which is a commercial business, it's really complex. We have 5+ people involved in any sale. It's not just one person. And despite all this control that customers now have over their purchase process, they still look at us and they go, how was that purchase experience? And it sinks deeply into them. And it is a big driver, ultimately, of their loyalty, that little purchase experience they ultimately had with us. And so this is our opportunity. I'm on the marketing side. I'm going to talk to you about the journey from that side. I think a lot of people in this room are on the analytics side. So I'm your consumer. So the opportunity from my standpoint is, how do we modernize marketing and take advantage of understanding where the customer is? I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you about a person and a company. This is Mark Lohr. He's from a company called Jet. Anybody know about Jet? Yeah, super interesting company. You should go look it up. They are disrupting online commerce because they've taken a different approach. They use data and transparency to transform the customer's experience in purchase. They are super interesting, but I don't want to talk about them. I want to talk about how we got them to be a customer. So, we didn't know who they were 2 years ago. Didn't know Mark, didn't know his people, but we saw a pattern on our website of people, individuals, practitioners, developers, IT people, coming to Microsoft Azure's website and checking stuff out. Seeing webinars, seeing content, white papers. And that grew and grew. And then we started seeing more senior people come and check things out and go to events. And then one day, there was a trial. They downloaded the trial, the free trial for Azure. And that triggered Chase Anderson in our inside sales to call them. And Chase called them, talked to somebody, and said, what can we do to help you? And he brought in some technical folks. They helped them get over some barriers, shall I say, some questions they had about could they build their business on Microsoft Azure. And Chase was also smart because Chase qualified this. And he said, this is not just a run-of-the-mill developer doing something in his garage. This is an opportunity. So when Chase hung up the call, Chase handed Jet over to a formal enterprise seller. And that enterprise seller got his team together and went out and spent time with Jet and did a real proof of concept and got Jet sold on an enterprise agreement within 1 month. So, and an enterprise agreement for Microsoft, that's a deal. That's money. That's a sale. And from there, we could watch Jet's use of the product grow. And they used it, and they got their business up and running, and they did it in record time. And so last fall, we had an event. It was a big Microsoft Azure event. And Mark's co-founder and the CTO of the company came and spoke to hundreds of thousands of customers and told the story of how Microsoft Azure had made his business successful and the results he was able to get because of it. This is kind of perfect. This is what we want. This is how we want things to flow. Jet got what they needed. They got what they needed when they wanted. They got up and running fast. They're a startup, born in the cloud. Boom, they had speed. Microsoft, well, wow, we gave a customer exactly what they needed when they needed it. We did it really efficiently. We didn't use resources where we didn't need to use them. It's perfect, and it's really the opportunity. So what led us to be able to do this with Jet is something we call the Global Demand Center. And we have to name everything at Microsoft, so we named this. But what this is about 4 years ago, when the Azure business was just getting started, I came in, I had a bunch of smart colleagues, we looked at each other and we said, hey, we have an opportunity here. This is a brand new business. There's no history. The traditional roles of sales and marketing and the big divide between them, they're not there yet. And in fact, this product can be purchased directly on the website, even more the reason not to have those divides. And we can step back and we can actually see what goes on with customers because it's a service business, so we can see what they're doing. How cool is that? Let's step back and let's build a process that meets the customer where they are and really creates a wonderful, fabulous business flow. So we created our Global Demand Center. And a couple things about it. It's totally buyer journey centric. And to Sandra's point, buyers start in all different places, right? We sometimes don't know somebody until they come in and purchase Azure on the website. They didn't do anything with us, and all of a sudden they showed up and they bought it. Sometimes they spend a ton of time looking at information, browsing before they do anything. Sometimes they're fast from that to wanting to talk to someone. It doesn't matter. We have it set up so it just works. And the other thing about this is I told you in the case of Jet, we had different people coming at different times, different roles. We're a commercial business, and in a commercial business, it's a sale that involves multiple roles. So we have to factor that in. We need to be able to see when do we have people coming from the same company and doing a variety of activities. And sometimes it's even their partners. Sometimes we get a prompt, we give a phone call, we find out it's a partner wanting to help customers. And so we have to look at that. So this is what our demand center looks like. Let me walk you through. All right, demand signals, all the work we do, and I'll talk a little bit about some of how we optimize that. Paid media, paid search, organic search, social, all those fabulous things feed in to engagement programs. And engagement programs can be a variety of things. Some of them I've rattled off to you already. Events, webinars, content like case studies or white papers, and trials. And what we're trying to do in engagement programs is we're trying to move people from anonymous to known. And then as we know them, we want to know them more and more and more. And ultimately, we want to hand them off to a sales channel. And we have different sales channels that do different things for us. I mean, as I said, sometimes we don't need too much help. They just transact on the web. Sometimes we want to, and almost always, frankly, we want to use telesales because it's very, very cost effective. At a minimum, they can qualify. Sometimes they can do a whole lot more. Then we have our enterprise sales teams, real sellers out on the street walking into customers. And sometimes we move to partners. And those are our channels. And then when something's sold, it's not done. Okay, we are in a service business, particularly with Azure. And so if you're paying as you go, and you start to pay, and you stop using, we don't get paid anymore. So post-sales relationship marketing is critical, and we've got a whole process and a number of tools that we use there. The outcomes won't be surprising to you. Okay, we're looking for those. And the thing about this that's different for us than what we traditionally did is it's always on. It is wired up. We use marketing automation, we use our CRM tools, we use a bunch of other tools, and it is all wired up, it is always on. So when we run a marketing campaign through this, it's connected straight through. And once we set it up, we just have to feed it, feed it, feed it, feed it, optimize it, feed it, optimize it, feed it. And that's been a fabulous thing for us. And we did this for Microsoft Azure. As I said, we started about 4 years ago. And this past year, what we started doing is bringing this to all of our businesses, all of our cloud and enterprise businesses, and a number of other businesses around the company. So it's become a platform for the company. And that's very exciting. Let me show you. I want to drill down a little bit now into some different nuggets to share. And I'll use the customer life cycle to show you, because we really, again, we think customer life cycle within that global demand center. So optimizing marketing mix. I have a whole team of marketers. They market 24/7, and they want to make the best use of their dollars and their mix. And so we've created something called the Power Mix View. And I'm going to orient this to you, and I'm going to just bring you through it. So the y-axis is traffic to our properties. The x-axis is click-through rate, so you can kind of think about it as reach and engagement. I'm going to show you some bubbles. Those bubbles are channels or elements of the marketing mix. Size of bubble means getting more leads from that channel. So if we start working on a campaign July-ish, and we move forward, and we get to September. What we see is not surprising at all. Look at paid display. That's driving traffic to the site. It does that. But traffic's not super qualified with paid display. You don't get nearly as much click-through and engagement from it. Organic search, not yet optimized. We've just gotten going. But as we do get customers through organic, they're always way more qualified. They've come with a purpose, and so in fact they do engage. Right now, paid search is ranking higher than organic on Google. And so guess what? It's driving more traffic for us, but not converting quite as well. So let's look at November. In November, what starts to happen? Organic search, starting to trend now. That's what we want, right? So look at how that's performing for us. More traffic, more efficiency of that traffic. Paid elements of the marketing mix are being able to be wound down a little bit more now. And we have a little yellow blob emerging. That's email, because we're starting to get leads. And what we do with those leads, or those names, I should say, not quite yet qualified leads, is we want to send them some nurture emails. We're also seeing direct traffic come right in, because that happens in time. And Microsoft owned and operated properties are sending us some traffic. So let's look now at January. Organic, doing great work for us. Look at that newsletter. That newsletter, that email, it went viral because we had an offer in it. It was an offer for a trial, and it was forwarded around. And guess what? It drove tremendous leads for us. So let's look at this whole thing. Okay, about 9 months of our campaign. And what's wonderful about this is my people can use this every day. They can optimize within a channel. They can optimize across the marketing mix. And we've built some baselines. So for different times of years, different types of campaigns, different types of target audience, we know what the current normal looks like. So if they see something deviating from the current normal, they can do something about it. And our normal gets better and better and better as we optimize. So this is fun. This is awesome. Love this. Let me move on a little. So we get customers in, we get them exploring, start to get them evaluating, and we want to move them from evaluating into buy. And I've talked about nurture a few times. The key is making your nurture intelligent. And so what we do in this global demand center system that we've built is we have engagement programs, bring people in, we start to nurture them, start to know them, and we do tons and tons of profiling. We have a huge data cube. We can look at all of the behavior of these contacts, find out what they're doing out in the social world, what they're doing in the Microsoft world. We have a CRM system, and we can say, hey, is this another jet, just a gem that we haven't found yet? Or is this actually a branch office of a Fortune 50 company where we're already doing a lot of business with them? And in that case, we might treat them differently. And then we score. So depending on who you are, what we know about you, and what you're doing, we give you a score. And ultimately, we will, based on that scoring, based on your profiling, get the highly qualified, ready to be contacted leads over to sellers. Usually, as I said before, to a teleseller first. And that's our process that we use. And this has just been amazing for our marketing department to be able to do this in our programs. So moving right along, we get people to buy, and then we want to keep them buying and using. And what you see here is you see an example of an email that we send to Power BI customers. These are customers who've signed up for the service, and they've played around with it, but in 2 weeks, they haven't hooked up their own data to that. Now, if they have not hooked up their own data to this in 2 weeks, we know they're not going to use this service. So we send them a mail, and we get an amazing response rate from this mail. And we do this across a number of different service areas, and we do it at other key points. Some of the key things we do at this point are first run experience. So the first time someone really tries to run a product or a service makes all the difference. So we do a number of things to help them do that well and have a great experience. The Power BI mails, kind of related to that. In product notification, I'd say that this is a place where we do a lot of it in Office 365. We have an opportunity to do more and more of it in our Azure and other areas. So this is easy. It's like, here's some tips, or hey, here's what you could do next based on what you're already doing. Churn prediction has been revolutionary for us. We have a service. We have data on what customers do and what they do right until they stop doing. And using machine learning, we can predict when customers are going to churn. And once we know that they're at risk of churn or on the verge of churn, we can take action to intervene. I can have one of those telesales reps give the customer a call, find out what's going on, try to help them through. So this is incredibly helpful for the business. And then this concept of the next logical service is really, it's interesting on a couple levels. We build software. We know in our heads what we think customers could use next once they start using something. And so we can do some work based on how we designed and intended things to work. But as you apply machine learning here as well, you start to see, oh, wait, customers actually do things in this sequence. How interesting. Let's go find out why. Let's go learn more about this. Oh, let's go apply that. And that is a wonderful, virtuous process to have. So these are some elements of things that we do post-sales. Now, what I love about this global demand center and this whole system is I now totally have my acquisition costs nailed by channel. I have my lifetime value nailed by customer type, by channel, originating channel, all sorts of cuts I can do to that. And I've got a very clear view of my marketing ROI. I am able to have a conversation with Amy Hood, CFO of Microsoft, and say, Amy, if you give me X dollars, I will get you Y dollars back in year 1, Z dollars back in year 2, M dollars back in year 3, and so on and so forth. And this is so powerful for us. I want to end back on fans and Mark. And some people hear fans, and you're going to hear more about fans after Pete and I talk. And some people hear fans and they think fluffy. Ooh, it's fans. It's just fluffy. But the truth is, at Microsoft, fans are really analyzed and really hardcore. We know what fans do for us. And we've broken them down. They are advocates, they are engaged, and they love our brand and services. They are all three things. If they're only two things, they're not a fan. They might become a fan, but they're not a fan. So we know this, we know how to see that, and then we know what's great about them. Fans' lifetime value, 1.5 to 2 times the lifetime value of a non-fan. They use 3, 4, 5 products versus non-fans use 1 or a couple. They are passionate. They build community. They give us feedback to make our products better. And probably most importantly, when a fan stands up, so when Mark's partner stands up and talks to hundreds of thousands of customers listen. It's super credible. It's way more credible than me standing up and telling you that Microsoft Azure is awesome. And so for this reason, fans are our end game. And with that, I'm going to hope that I left you with some nuggets. If nothing else, I hope I left you as a customer of an analytics department with the concept that customer analytics, data, intelligence, machine learning, oh my gosh, they are so powerful in transforming marketing. And as you transform marketing, you actually can transform your business results.